Hey everybody, today I'm introducing a song called Red's Good Groove by Red Garland. This tune is found in the Real Easy book. It's a fantastic, chilled out, groovin' tune. The Real Easy book sounds a little bit, I don't know, I just wish they'd use a different name. Maybe the Convenient Easy Book, or the Practical Easy Book, or We Did It For You Easy Book. And the reason why I'm using all these words is because of how it's laid out. It's a fantastic book to use with ensembles, whether it's a jazz band, a school ensemble, or a group of friends that likes to get together, because it's laid out with part one, as this shows, and we also have backgrounds, we have a shout chorus in this tune. There are also parts 2 and 3, so you can have harmony as it goes through the tune. Really convenient. Love it. Let's take a look at the chart itself. So this looks like a familiar chord progression, and it should. Let's add Roman numerals to make it a little bit more recognizable. And if it doesn't look recognizable yet, it's a simple blues. It's just 12-bar blues. Well, it's a modified 12-bar blues. And let's add Roman numerals, and I'll show you where it's different. Now, this is the simple blues. We have 1 for 4 measures, 4 for 2, 1 for 2, 5, 4, 1, 5. This is very simple. This is very typical blues progression. Now, Red's Good Groove is different in the second measure. We have this 4 chord that's introduced. It goes to the 4, which is cool, and it's not abnormal to have that happen in a blues or even in a jazzed up blues. The other spot where it's different is the turnaround. The turnaround is typically the last 4 measures of the tune. We have a 2, well, we have the C minor 7 and an F to the B flat 7. Now, this is a little bit different, and we're going to talk about this later. For now, let's use a simple method to figure out how best you can solo over a tune. And that's simply just to listen to the melody and to look at the notes that the composer wrote down. So that's the melody, and it's really chilled out, really cool. It sounds kind of like a blues, but it also doesn't sound like a blues. There are notes in there that are not from the blues scale. Let's add some numbers to this. Boy, I love numbers. I've realized this, and I'm sorry if it seems overwhelming, but it's for people that love math. Music is math. I actually don't like math very much, but I realized that it is very much a part of jazz and music and analyzing music. You have to be flexible with your numbers and your relationships with numbers. So all these numbers that I put here are relative to the key. That means that looking at our key signature, we have 2 flats, so it's the key of B flat. So if I have flat 5 in there, that means we go up 5 notes in the scale. Then we flat it, so that's the first note. Now, if you know your blues scale, there are some notes in here that should not be in here. Like, that 6, that 2, and looking at the pickup to the last 4 bars, 2 of those notes are not in the blues scale. They're in a different scale, and we're going to talk about that more. But first, if you don't know your blues scale yet, you've got to memorize it. This is a basic jazz scale, and it is a fantastic scale because it's used in so many songs and styles. Now, this is the scale and the various instrument keys, so I suggest you take a screenshot, or actually I think I'll just put a link in there so you can download this picture. That way you'll have it, and you can share it with your buddies. So, there's more. Yeah. Just bear with me, there's more, and it's good. Now, we talked about the blues scale and how this is a 12-bar blues. But when we listen to it, that's the blues scale, but we have... There are these other notes in there that don't fit. And some of you might be saying, ooh, I know, it's Mixolydian. Kind of. Mixolydian, for those that don't know, is a mode, meaning it's based off of notes of another scale starting on a different note. Yes, it sounds a little confusing, but when you listen to it, that's a major scale and it's a mode. That's Ionian. And now what I just said, Mixolydian, means a scale starting on the fifth. And the easiest way to think Mixolydian is you have a flat 5. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is another scale that can be used interchangeably with the blues scale, like Red's Good Groove does. And I'm talking about a scale called the amp scale, or the altered major pentatonic scale. The altered major pentatonic scale is just how it sounds. It's a modified or altered major pentatonic scale. A pentatonic scale means it's a scale with 5 notes. And if you're not used to this concept, you could go to a piano or a keyboard and find a group of 3 black keys, find the lowest one, and then go up 5. That's a major pentatonic scale. Lots of songs are written with these 5 notes. Lots of folk melodies are written with these notes. Now, what I'm talking about is the altered version of this, which sounds like this in concert B flat. It sounds a little bit jazzier, especially when we add some swing eighths and we can throw in some little licks. So it sounds really fun, and it sounds really upbeat and easygoing, and it's actually used in a lot of songs. I need to make a follow-up video to explain my reasoning for the amp scale, because it's used in so many melodies that I've read over the years. But back to Red's Good Groove. So we have the blues and the amp as our 2 main scale options so far. Now, remember these last 2 measures in the turnaround, the C minor 7 to the F7. What are you supposed to do here? Because these chords, well, the C minor 7 isn't in the blues at all. And this might look familiar to some of you, and it should, because it's a 2-5-1. What makes this a 2-5-1? A couple things. The first thing you need to look for in a 2-5-1 is a minor 7 to a dominant 7, and it should go to a major 7 in this case. It doesn't, but it's fine. We should also look for movement going up in fourths, C, D, E, F, F, G, A, B. This qualifies as a 2-5-1, kind of, except the 1 is a dominant 7. 2-5-1s can also be explained better using this monster. This tool called the circle of fifths. Now, this is covered all over the place on the internet and YouTube. People try to explain it, make it easier. It does help. I want you to forget a lot of the stuff you see below the word circle of fifths, and I want you to look at C and F and B flat. Now notice the circle of fifths, you're thinking fifths, so it should be moving C, G, D, A, E, B, etc. No. In jazz, it actually likes to go backwards for a lot of the time. We have a C minor 7 and an F dominant 7. And in this case, it's a B flat dominant 7. But jazz loves 2-5s. We have consecutive 2-5s like... They keep going. Happens a lot. There are other uses for the circle of fifths, but we're not going to talk about that now. You need a game plan, and you need it now. So, my first suggestion for beginning soloists, rely on 1 scale for your solo, or use the melody. So, that 1 scale I'm going to suggest is the blues scale. It's a basic scale. You've got to learn it. You've got to memorize it. Use it. It's going to sound great over this song. Now, if you want to take your soloing up a notch, I suggest switching every once in a while to the amp scale. And I wrote change lanes here because I want you to think about soloing like a highway and a multi-lane highway. This is a highway in China. It's crazy. Looks like there's 6 lanes on both sides. It's insane. So think about this motorcyclist. He or she could have a joyride and just go and swerve left and right, but they might be pulled over. So most normal, not drunk drivers will stay in one lane while they're driving. For some reason, they might want to switch lanes either to get off the highway or to look at something on the left or the right or whatever. So I want you to think about that one vehicle going on one lane for the whole time. That's what I was talking about. Your first tool is to use the blues. Now, if you get bored of the blues, or you feel rather bored because you're comfortable and you want to challenge yourself, have a momentary shift. At the end of a phrase, switch to the amp scale and then go right back to the blues, your main lane. It would sound like this. Amp, blues, sorry. There's amp at the end. So you get it? I'm sticking with blues for the most part, and then I'm switching every once in a while at the end of a phrase. Not all of a sudden in my solo, at the end of a phrase, meaning you have a complete thought. My thought's done, and now I'm going to switch lanes. And there's my complete thought for the amp. So you want to have a phrase or something that feels final, then switch. Don't switch in the middle. At least not yet, if you're figuring this out. Now, you can solo in the blues, you're comfortable there. Amp sounds like it's a great tool, or you already have it mastered, and now you want to take your soloing up yet again. The next thing you can do is to emphasize chord tones for the chord of the moment. I only did it 4 times here because these are the 4 chords used in the entire song. B flat's at the beginning, so you could look at the next to last measure at the end of the song. We have D and A flat. Those notes are the 3rd and the 7th. Look at the scale, the chord before, the F7, we have A and E flat. That's the 3rd and the 7th. C minor 7, there's the 3rd and the 7th. E flat and B flat. And it sounds like this. There's E flat and B flat, the F, A and E flat, and then we have D and A flat. So that means that during your solo, you would want to start on one of these notes or have them be a target for you to hit at the very beginning. So for instance, if I'm playing that B flat 7, right before the turnaround, it would sound... There's that. Oh, sorry, I went to the wrong. I went to the G, which you could do, the 5th, but I meant to hit the 3rd or the 7th. So there's the 7. And there's the A of the F7. Kind of butchered that, but you get the point. You want to hit those notes and treat them like they're targets. And I would suggest to actually write those note names down somewhere so that way you see them, that way you can recognize them and play it. That way it's attainable and you know it's that note you're specifically going to hit. I hope that I've been of some help to you for Red's Good Groove. Again, it's a great tune. And the thing that's going to bring you the most joy is just to be comfortable. So practice to get comfortable with your blues. Take it to the next level with the amp. And then start to emphasize the chord of the moment and those chord tones. And you're going to sound like a pro soloist with lots of practice in no time. Hope this was helpful to you. Happy practicing.